the sum and difference formulas. Let me show you the cheat sheet first, the formula sheet that we have been using earlier. Okay, now this is the formula sheet that we have been using. All right, and you must have a copy of this. Now, what all we have done in chapter 7.3. Okay, let me just log in on my iPad also. All right, now if you look at your formula sheet, we have discussed about the sum and difference formulas. Now, if you have your formula sheet right now with you, you can mark these formulas. These are the ones that we have discussed in 7.3. All right. Along with that, we solved some questions based on the product and the sum formulas. These were also there on 7.3. All right. Now today's topic, if you look at chapter 7.4, 7.4 is more concerned about. Let me pull it up. Okay, now we are dealing with double angle identities and half angle identities. All right, if we go back to our this formula sheet, let me pull it up here. Yeah, now this is right. A little bit to the bottom. Let me close this. All right, now if you look at this formula sheet, over here, we have double angle formulas. These are your double angle formulas. And these are your half angle formulas. This is your chapter 7.4. All right. Now, the only thing we need is the formulas. We do not want how to prove these formulas. The only thing we need is the application of these formulas. That's what we are doing right now today. All right, how to use the double angle formula and how to use a half angle formula. Now, double angle formula means if they have given you, say, if they have given you any value, let's say if they give you sine 20 degrees. Now we know the value for 20 degrees, and we need to calculate sine 40 degrees. What we do is we use this double angle formula and calculate the values of sine 40. All right, I'll just go to the example and show you how we use this double angle identities and half angle identities. Now, before we go over there, I just expect one thing, that you all have your cheat sheet with you, the formula sheet, and you know where we have these double angle formulas and the half angle formulas. Now again, I'll just mark whatever is marked in red is your chapter 7.4, and whatever is marked with the blue is whatever we have done in chapter 7.3. This is your 7.3. All right, everything is from your cheat sheet. Everything is actually from your cheat sheet or formula sheet that we are using. All right, let's go and check what are these double angle formulas and half angle identities and where we use it. Okay. All right, now just check this. The questions are easy. Like if you have your cheat sheet or your formula sheet with you, these questions will be easy. Now, over here, it says we need to find sine 2 theta divided by cosine theta. All right, just check. Just go over there on the double angle formulas and see what is the formula for sine 2 theta. Sine 2 theta is 2 sine theta cosine theta, and then you just cancel out cosine theta and you get the answer. Answer is 2 sine theta. Once again, I'm repeating. Where we started from? We started from our identity, the double angle identity. According to the double angle identity, what we have this thing sine 2 theta. I know the identity is sine 2 theta is equals to 2 sine theta cosine theta. Now, if you know this identity, where this identity came from, this identity actually came from your formula. This identity came from here. We are dealing with this sine 2 theta. Sine 2 theta is what? Sine 2 theta is 2 sine theta cosine theta. That's the identity I used. And then after using this identity, I gave back all the values over there. Here, just look at this one here. Yeah. So sine 2 theta is what? Sine 2 theta is 2 sine theta cosine theta. Cosine and cosine, they cancel out and we are just left with 2 sine theta, and that's the answer. It is only possible if you know this identity. If you know this identity, only then it is possible. Otherwise, you will just waste a lot of time. Now see, in 2 simple steps, we got the answer. All right, let's check another question. Now this here.
Counsel.
Yes.
Are you gonna post this somewhere? Cause my phone is gonna die and I'm in the car on my way home.
Yeah, so... sure. This will be posted on your D2L.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Just like the way, if you have checked the other lectures that we had when Tuesday, that was posted on D2L, and you can just have a video. The video is posted. You can just check that video, log into D2L, and check on whatever we are doing. It is over there on D2L. All right, let's solve this question now. All right, now this question says sine 14 theta. Now please be very careful. I'm just writing that double angle identity over here. Double angle identity says sine 2 theta equals 2 sine theta cosine theta. All right, now in this question, we have a different problem. The problem is sine 14 theta over, cosine cosine 7 theta. Now, this question is actually sine 14 theta. I have to arrange this sine 14 theta. Now, sine 14 theta can be written as, I'm just rewriting it as sine 2 times 7 theta. Now you can just consider this 7 theta as A, B, or C, whatever. So it is actually sine 2 theta or sine 2A. Let me write it as this value will be equals to, according to this, sine 2 times angle, sine 2 times angle, sine 2 times angle is what? 2 sine angle cosine angle is what? 2 sine angle cosine angle divided by what? Cosine 7 theta. Cosine 7 theta and cosine 7 theta cancel out, and we are left with what? 2 sine 7 theta. That's the answer. Questions about this one here? Any question about this? I know it is a bit confusing when you see that 14, how to write 14 as 2 times 7 and then proceed. We good? Okay, now let's check another question. Now, if you look at this, we have 4 theta. 4 theta means 2 times 2 theta. Now you can easily get answer for this, 2 times 2 theta. So what you do is, in this case, you will write it as sine 4 theta, and the numerator will be 2 sine 2 theta cosine 2 theta divided by cosine 2 theta, and everything cancels out, and we are left with 2 sine 2 theta, and that's the answer. So your answer in this case will be 2 sine 2 theta. Okay, now let's check another problem. All right, now if we look at this question here, it says write the following as a single sine or cosine function. What we do in this case, again, it is a square problem. Square problem means I have to use FOIL, or otherwise I just have to find square. A plus b squared is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now this becomes what? This becomes sine squared theta equals, okay, this is A, this is B. We solve it like that. This is A and this is B. A squared, then 2AB. We are using a formula, 2 times A times B plus B squared, and it was -1. You can solve it like this, or you can simply solve it using a FOIL. FOIL means sine theta plus cosine theta times sine theta plus cosine theta, and then you can solve it using FOIL. You'll get the same answer, -1. Now what we do in the next step, we try to simplify the terms. Now, according to the identity, I have already proved that sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is 1. Okay, now this is positive 1, this is negative 1. They will cancel out each other's effect. So that becomes 0, and we are left with just 2 sine theta cosine theta. If you go back to your identities, the double angle formula identities, this will be 2 sine theta cosine theta will actually give you 2 sine 2 theta. Reverse. Earlier what I was doing, I was just writing sine 2 theta as 2 sine theta cosine theta. Now I'm writing backwards. The value is sine 2 theta cosine theta, and I write it as sine 2 theta. So this is actually a single sine or cosine of a function, single. Now again, questions are easy, but we need a lot of practice. We need a lot of practice to solve these questions. Now, again, looking at this, I know one thing, that I have to start from squaring. Either I can use FOIL or I can use the formula. Any one of these two. Now, if I use FOIL or the formula, either ways I'll get the same answer. Now, looking at these things, first I have to identify, can I cancel anything? Now, these two combine together to give me 1. Then we have a positive 1, we have a negative 1. They cancel out, and we are left with 2 sine theta cosine theta, and 2 sine theta cosine theta is what? It is sine 2 theta according to the identity, the double angle identity. Okay, same way if we look at any other version of this question. Like this is again same. Let me solve some different problem. Let's solve this one. I don't know whether you want to use a formula or not. Let's use FOIL. That's easier. All right. Now if I use FOIL, I'll write this as sine 5 theta plus cosine 5 theta times sine 5 theta plus cosine 5 theta minus 1. Okay, now using FOIL, sine 5 theta times sine 5 theta gives me sine 25 theta squared. Outer ones multiply. They give you plus sine 5 theta cosine 5 theta. Inner ones they multiply to give me plus sine 5 theta cosine 5 theta, and the last ones they multiply to give me plus cosine squared. Okay, let me write it the other way around. Wait. Cosine squared 5 theta. Let me just change this. This will be like this. Sine squared 5 theta minus 1. Now again, this sine squared 5 theta and cosine squared 5 theta gives you positive 1. These two things combine together and give you plus 2 sine 5 theta, cosine 5 theta, and the last one is minus 1. 1 and negative 1, they cancel out. We are left with 2 sine 5 theta, cosine 5 theta. All right. According to the double angle identity, can you give me the final answer? Any one of you? Now, if you remember the identity says what? Identity says if it is sine 2 theta, it is what? 2 sine theta cosine theta. Means what? It means if the angle over here is theta, then the angle on the left hand side will be twice of theta. So if the angle over here is 5 theta, what is 2 times 5 theta? 10 theta. So your final answer will be sine 10 theta. Let me write it the other place. So your final answer will be sine 10 theta. That's the final answer. Questions? Now the first thing is when we use FOIL. When we use FOIL, we need to be very careful about this thing here, that what we have. Using FOIL, sine times sine gives you sine squared. Angle remain the same. Sine times cosine is here. Sine 5 theta, cosine 5 theta. Sine 5 theta, cosine 5 theta. Cosine times cosine gives you cosine squared 5 theta. Angle remain the same. We don't change the angle. And then we just try to simplify. Okay, let's check another problem. Okay, now this one says, given that sine alpha is 2 over 3, where 90 is less than alpha is less than 180. Now this tells you, this thing tells you that angle alpha is in second quadrant. Now they have given a sine and they want me to calculate sine 2 alpha and cosine 2 alpha. First, I'll just write the formula. I'll write the formula sine 2 alpha is 2 sine alpha cosine alpha and cosine 2 alpha. Now there are 3 different formulas for cosine 2 alpha. I'm just writing all 3 over here. First formula is cosine squared alpha minus sine squared alpha, or we can use 2 cosine squared alpha minus 1, or we can use the formula 1 minus 2 sine squared alpha. Now these are 3 formulas for solving cosine 2 alpha. Okay, now I just need to check which one I have to use. Now in this case, I have to identify what is given. The given thing is sine. So if sine is given, I'll use that formula which involves sine only. I will not use anything that involves cosine. I'll prefer to use this formula. And for sine, I have to use the first one. I don't have any other option. I have to use this. Now you all know, over here, sine is given, sine alpha is 2 over 3. I need cosine. Sine is given. I need to calculate cosine. How do I calculate cosine? I draw a right triangle. I consider this angle as alpha. Okay. Now sine is opposite over hypotenuse. That is opposite over hypotenuse. I calculate this side. This is 9. 9 minus 4 gives you 5. So this side is radical 5. So I calculate cosine alpha is a radical 5 over 3. Now again, alpha is in which quadrant? Alpha is in second quadrant. And in second quadrant, cosine is negative. In second quadrant, cosine is negative. So I can write the answer over here. Sine 2 alpha will be 2 sine alpha. This is sine alpha. Sine alpha is 2 over 3. And cosine alpha is, I just calculated, negative radical 5 over 3. Everything together gives me 2 times 2 is 4. 4, negative 4 radical 5 over 9 is the answer. This is the answer for sine 2 alpha. Now, if I need cosine 2 alpha, this is the formula for cosine 2 alpha that I'll be using, equals 1 minus 2 sine squared alpha. This is sine alpha, I'll square it. 2 over 3 squared. 1 minus 2 times 2 squared is 4, 4 over 9. 1 minus 8 over 9, and if you use your calculator or common denominator, this will become 9 minus 8. 1 over 9 is the answer. Now, another important question that we may see on our test or on EDUCO. Now, these are more of logical questions, I can say. Now, just look the way I break this question. Now, just looking at this question, I can see this is sine and cosine. So this is 4 times, I will write it as 2 times, I'll split this 4 into 2 times 2. 2 sine theta cosine theta and cosine 2 theta. Now if you again have your cheat sheet with you, 2 sine theta cosine theta is what? It is actually sine two theta, and we have cosine 2 theta. Now 2 sine 2 theta cosine 2 theta is actually what? It is sine 4 theta. Very good. That's the answer. I know I have seen a lot of students who have difficulty in getting this thing to mind, that this thing is angle. All right. If you have this thing like this, you can also write this as 2 sine any angle. Let's say 2 sine alpha cosine alpha. All right, and what is that? That is actually sine 2 alpha. That is actually sine 2 alpha. And what was alpha? Alpha was 2 theta. So if I give it back, it becomes what? Sine 4 theta. It depends on you how you figure out to solve this question. There are different ways to solve this question. Now this question, for sure, similar question will be there on your exam. Now the question can be, let me write with a different color. The question can be, say, other than 4, we can use any other number, like let's say 8 sine 4 theta cosine 4 theta and then cosine 8 theta. All right, we can have a question like this, and then we just combine these two, and this will be 4 times 2. We pull out 1, 2 and combine these two, and then it will become 4 and 4 gives you 8 theta, and then I use that 8 theta over here. It is possible we can do that also. So there can be a similar question that we need to solve. Okay, well, that's all we are doing for today. And this is from chapter 7.4 with the double angle. That's what we have done. Now, everything that is based on the half angle, again, let me bring it up. All right, let me show you. Now, this thing over here at the top, and the top right corner is the half angle. We just need formula for half angle. We are not getting into how we got this formula. We are not getting into how to solve it. All right. It is just like, let me give you one example. Now you all know that sine 30 degrees is 1/2. We know this. All right. Now, what I need is, I need to calculate sine 15 degrees. Now, normal speaking, 15 is what? 15 is half of 30. All right. So I use the first formula that we have for sine 15 degrees or sine 30.5. So that will give me what? That will give me sine 30 divided by 2 equals plus or minus radical 1 minus cosine 30 over 2. Now we know what is the value of cosine 30. Cosine 30 is radical 3 over 2. We plug in that value and get the answer. So this simply becomes plus or minus radical 1 minus radical 3 over 2 divided by 2. We just simplify it to the next form. So it is just plugging in the